Hi everyone, coming to you from Los Angeles, California, the home of the Dance Art and Life podcast. I'm your host, Danya the Gypsy, and this is a judgment-free zone. I'm looking for stories of dancers, musicians, and artists of all walks of life, their struggles, hard work, highs and lows of their careers, but most of all, the life lessons they've learned following their passion. Today's guest is very close to my heart. She dances for about 13 years, I guess, 13 years. And it is her birthday, and this is my way of congratulate her to her 91st birthday. And this is my student, Lil Torres. Welcome, Lil Torres.
Well, thank you, Daniel. I want everybody to know that my real name is Lillian, which I've never liked. So Lily is my stage name.
And Lil is your...
And Lil is my...
rap name.
My usual name. But
Lillian.
Daniel flatters me by allowing me to be here today.
No, I'm flattered you are here today because, congratulations to your birthday. Happy birthday, my dear. It's coming soon.
Thank you.
91, and I was on your 90th birthday, and it was like 250 people or something like that, right? It was huge. It was huge.
A big party.
Big party with big family. Hello, family. We will talk about you later.
Big family, big friends.
Yes. So... cheers. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Daniel. This is a pleasure, and I'm embarrassed that
stop it.
Considered to be here, but it's kind of fun too.
Okay, I need to tell you, okay? Everybody in our industry, in dancing, every time you go to the dance floor, right? People come up to me and always tell me, oh my God, she's an inspiration. She's an inspiration. She's an inspiration, right? And I'm telling you that every single time. And you go, what do you say to me?
Well, I don't understand why just being old is an inspiration. Anybody can get old.
Okay, imagine this. You're 90 years old, right? You're still driving.
91.
91 soon, yes.
91 next week.
Yes. So you're still driving, right?
Yes.
You're still self-sufficient, right? You're still going to the store. You're still traveling to... Where do you go next? To Africa. Africa. My goodness, right? So this is like... I want people to know that life doesn't end when you're 70 or whatever.
That's true.
And you kind of give up life, right? So you still go and you still have fun. You still...
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so...
Life is good.
Life is good. That's for sure. Cheers to that.
And I don't know if I'm striving now for age 100, although I never wanted to be 100, but it looks like it's going to happen.
Why not?
Well, because I always thought 100, who wants to be 100? But, being old isn't fun because everybody thinks of you as old.
I don't think of you as old.
But I'm having a good time, so I figure as long as I can enjoy life, why not just live?
Yeah. I don't think that you're old. I'm thinking of you as a teenager, and we always have parties and fun on the competitions, so...
We do have a good time. Daniel and I have an interesting relationship.
That's true. That's true.
Do you want me to talk about our relationship?
Go ahead.
My husband... before he died, was interested in relationships, and he discovered that there's such a thing as an intimate relationship, totally non-sexual. And I've decided that Daniel and I have that sort of a relationship. He knows more about me than my boyfriend that I've known since we were age 13, and we have very intimate relationship conversations that I don't think I've ever had with anybody except possibly my husband. And so I consider that an unusual relationship.
It is unusual because, when you were doing your school and your I wasn't even...
I didn't know Daniel
in the thought,
how many years have we
to
known?
be alive? I mean, to be conceived, even. You know what I mean? Like, you were already having kids, everything, and I wasn't even alive.
I've had a very long life. And thinking back on it, there's so much to tell that how can I even begin to tell it?
Listen, we will do it right now because I want people to know your background and then also about dancing and how it really complements your life and helps you to actually, stay healthy and even, with balance, mentally, physically, all the things that we talk about, Lilian, we will talk about.
Dancing has saved my adult life. I have to say that. Had it not been for dancing, I wonder what I would have been doing, because I can't think of anything I'm more interested in than dancing. Although I know I'll never be a good dancer.
Oh, stop it.
I don't think that's important because I enjoy it. I have a good time with it. And furthermore, it keeps me in good shape. I don't get fat. I don't get, my muscles don't get flabby. I don't lose my balance. I do good stuff.
Lilian, I can just lean back and you talk the whole entire time and I will just enjoy it.
No, I don't want to talk the entire time.
Why not? I need to confess, Lilian is a little bit worried and nervous that her story is not really... what do you say? What did you say? Interesting and
it's
boring.
Kind of boring.
No, it's not. It's not.
I was always a hard worker. I was born.
Wait. I'm asking the questions. You already go. When you're nervous, you just start to talk. I know that.
Right.
Okay. So
yes.
Listen. Lock eyes with me, Lilian. Lock eyes with me. A disclaimer. You can say shit and fuck and everything you want on this podcast. Okay?
What I need to, I will.
Yes. Okay, good. I just, a disclaimer. This is not a kids show. This is an adult show.
Okay.
All right? So we're swearing. Be yourself.
I
like
swear
you are
more
with
with
me.
Daniel than anyone I know.
Yeah, I know. I'll do that to people. I'm doing it to that people. Yeah. So, Lilian, let's start from the very, very beginning.
Yes.
Where were you born?
I was born in a town near the Mexican border, Southern California, Brawley, Brawley, California.
Brawley, California?
It's about 10, 15 miles from the Mexican border.
Yeah.
It's a farm town. My father was a beginning farmer. But this was Depression years. And I was born at age 1932. January the 25th,
Lilian,
1932.
You can look at me and have a conversation with me, not with the mic.
Oh, okay.
The mic will pick up your voice. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry. All good.
I'm thinking back on
I know.
when I was born. January 25, 1932, in Brawley, California, a farm region, and they raise lettuce, melons, that sort of thing.
Got it.
And it's still the same almost as when I was born there.
Really? They still do nothing
still
changed,
do the same.
right?
I was related to many people down there who are now gone. I have one cousin left down there.
And he's still farming.
She married an accountant who does the accounting for all the farmers down there. It turned into a place where there was big money made. But my poor father made no money, and during the Depression years, he lost his dairy farm, and we moved up to Ontario, California. And
what age you were when you
I was
moved?
about 2 or 3 years old when that happened.
2 or 3 years old. And you said you have 5 siblings?
I'm one of 6 children. I'm the second oldest. I have a sister that's about 16, 15 months older
So
than
at that point when you moved to Ontario, how many children were there? How many siblings? 2 or 3?
2, I think.
2.
And then my sister Lucille was
So you were
born.
3 years old, you came to Ontario.
Right. And lived there, and we moved to Upland. We vacillated between Ontario and Upland for my whole childhood and young adulthood.
So you were changing what? You were changing...
From Ontario to Upland. They're sister cities right close, and there was not even a border between them. You used to say, I come from Ontario Upland.
Yeah.
But now each city has its own personality, so
Got it.
that's changed over the years.
So you moved to Ontario, to Upland, and then
We lived in a series of rental houses,
mhm.
and wherever there was a house to rent is where we lived for many, many years. Finally, in my teen years, my parents bought a house in Upland, and then I lived there until I left home and went to nursing school. And
Wait, don't skip that, because you told me a very interesting story. I know so many things about Lillian, and I will lead this conversation through, what you told me. You told me that your parents, when you were like 11, 12, even younger, they gave you to another family to live with?
Oh, when I was, my parents were very poor.
Yeah.
We barely had enough to eat. And because we were good Catholic family, that's another story. They kept having children that they couldn't afford.
Yeah.
And so me being the second oldest, when I was just finishing the 7th grade at age 11, 12, they put me in school young, so I was always one of the youngest in the class. They decided that one of us had to go, and there was somebody looking for help with their 6 children.
Yeah.
And
so another family with six children was Lillian, you can look at me. Don't worry. Yeah, I know you concentrate. You're so nervous.
Yeah. Another family with 6 children.
Yeah, we have a conversation, Lillian. Forget the camera. We have a conversation like always. Okay. Just look at me, my dear.
All right. Another family with 6 children was looking for some household help. So they were offering $45 a month and room and board.
A month?
Yes.
What year was that? Like you were 12?
I had just turned 12.
So it
I was always
44.
a little younger than
1944.
Yeah, before the war was over, before World War II was over.
Wow.
So 1944. I was farmed out for $45 a month and room and board to live with this family day, night, all the time, to take care of the children, to do the laundry, to do the housekeeping, to babysit. And I lived there through the week and would go home on Sunday morning. I would go home to church and then stay Sunday night at my mother's house and father's house. And then Monday morning, I would walk to the bus stop and ride up to Upland to stay again for the week with this family.
And while you were in school, so you went to this...
this was summer. Well, I wasn't in school just then.
Got it. So it was during the summer.
It was during the summer.
It was like your summer job, so to say.
It was my summer job. So I lived there.
But you didn't like it, you said, right?
I was not happy there, but I was encouraged by my mother to stay there because it was $45 a month in room and board. And plus she was absent one kid for the summer. So that was a good thing for them.
So the $45, and they fed you as well, right? So
one thing I'll say about the people I lived with was they were never anything but lovely to me. They treated me well. The good thing about the house was that when the kids were asleep, and I always got the kids to sleep early, this woman was a reader. She had all these wonderful books, Jane Eyre and all the good novels, and I got to read all of her novels. So I spent all my extra hours reading. So I got a lot of good reading done that summer.
Well, you still read till this day,
I still read I never stop reading.
Would you say this influenced you in a big way?
I don't know if it it taught me how wonderful books are. Yeah. And I never stop reading. I read, if I finish one book, I'm ready to start another. Wow. So I'm a big reader. I read all the time.
But I know you also watch Netflix and Prime. And
reading and movies are my 2 favorite things to do.
I know.
Besides dancing and socializing. I love people, and I don't like to be without people. So I have to get out and socialize.
I know that. I know
and
that.
I like to dance, so I like.
That's why dancing is good for you and
how
traveling
this all
and
happened.
everything. Yeah.
In my childhood days, I used to pretend that I was a ballet dancer.
Yes, you told me that.
I
yes.
wanted to be a ballerina.
How old you were at that time?
8, 9,
8, 9.
10.
Yeah.
So what I would do was go out on our front porch
Yeah.
and pretend I was a ballerina
On the stage.
and I would perform
Yeah.
with no audience.
But the porch was your stage.
The
so
porch
to
was
say.
my stage, yes. And
And
I had no
after-
audience.
And after 80 years or 70 years, you
I finally
fulfilled
got-
your dream to be on stage and
Right.
dance in front of audience.
I finally got to put on costumes and actually dance.
Fantastic.
So that was a dream come true.
Well, but we jumped from 8 years old to now. Wait. We still have a lot of things to
Right.
cover. Okay, so you were there for the summer. I just have one question. Like, did it? Okay, you said you didn't like it, right?
Right.
But
I was there for the summer, and then when school started, I would go to school through the week, and then on the weekend, I would still go
you
back.
still go back.
Still go
Got it.
back and do
Because
this,
you wanted to, or because your mom
because
said
it was my job. I
it
had
was
to
your
do
job?
it.
Got
It was everybody in my family. All 6 children of us had to have a job,
yeah.
and that was my job. I would go back
To help out actually to
Right.
sustain the living. Right?
exactly. So Friday.
So it
nights,
wasn't just for you,
No.
you making money. You were making money for your family, so you can
I
all
never.
survive.
I hardly ever saw the money.
Yeah.
I would go back on Friday evenings when school was over, and spend the weekend there, and then I would go Sunday morning. I would go to church with my family and spend Sunday there, and then
Yeah.
go back to school.
Got
And
it.
then that went on through the school year, and then when the school year was finished, I went back and I lived again with the family
Wow.
who had another child by
So
then.
how long, like how many years did you do that?
3
Like,
years.
3 years.
3 years I did
Now,
that.
can you recall, or can you maybe think about what did you learn living with this family? Did you
What I
or
learned,
what did it give you, or what maybe it was a negative thing, maybe it was a positive thing.
It had-
what did you learn
it
there?
had both negative and positive effects.
Like what?
The positive thing it made me was very independent. Because those people were so busy with having children and living their lives
Yeah.
that they left a lot of things to me at 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old girl.
So
and-
you started with this when you were 11.
Right.
11,
11, yeah, maybe 12, I don't know.
12. Okay.
And anyway, I got to be very independent.
Mhm.
And also, I was able to take care of anything. There was a weekend that these people left me with a newborn baby for a weekend because they were dying to get away from the kids.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they put the older children with their grandmother or somebody and left me, a 12 or 13-year-old, with a newborn baby for a whole
Wow.
weekend. And I took care of that baby just very well, no problem. Fed him, took care of him, and everything was fine when they came home. The house was clean, the baby was fine.
You see, that's why I think we like very similar and we like each other. We clicked because I was taking care of my goddaughter when I was 13, 14 as well. And she was, a little kid changing,
Changed diapers. For,
diapers.
this
and
is a
everything.
newborn baby.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that with my own newborn, but that times were different. Times were stressful.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
At any rate, I was there, and then when I started high school, I
So you learned to be
independent and
and
self-sufficient.
self-sufficient, meaning you could take care of the house, you could take care of the kid, you could go by bus wherever, you can
Right.
travel, you can take care of things.
Exactly. I learned to be a very independent person.
Yeah.
And basically, I never lived at home for any length of time after that, because then the next summers my uncle wanted somebody to come and stay at his house and take care of their little baby while they maintained a store. This was at Newport Beach. And so that was a wonderful job for me because
this one I don't know. This one I don't know. I'm interested in that. So how old you were at that time?
14. 15.
And your uncle, did he pay you something or?
No, I was just there because it was such a good fun thing to do.
Got it. And you were in Newport Beach
and I was at the beach.
hip area on the beach.
And I took care of my little niece, Judy, who is still a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I took care of Judy because she was a baby.
Hi, Judy.
And I'll have to give her this. And Judy and I got to be very close. And I love Judy. I'm still close to her. She's my first cousin. And I stayed there for the whole summer, never went home at all. And then after that, I never went home for any summer. I was always had a job. And I was never home. So,
but would you say you wanted to go out of the house, or
no? I just had to. There was no.
You had to, so you still had to.
Right. I had to take care of myself because my family couldn't afford me.
Okay, so at what point did it change to you were working to sustain the family, to sustain yourself? When you were like how old?
When I was 11, 12 years old.
No, but you said 11, 12 years old, you went and you never seen the money. What I mean is, when did you start to work for yourself?
Oh, when I had all kinds of jobs. I lied about how old I was, and I went to work at Gebel's Pharmacy in Ontario. I told him I was 16 when I was only 15, and that was the only job I ever got fired from.
Because?
I lied and said I had experience, which was a lie. And I told him I was 16, which was also a lie. And so I was put to do the soda fountain service with no experience, no formal education, no orientation. I was just there to do it. And I didn't do a good job, and they fired me. That was...
You see, you never told me this story.
That was a humiliation in my life. It was the only job I ever got fired from.
So in order to get a job, how much did you earn, like, per hour? Like 45 cents?
50 cents an hour.
50 cents, yeah.
50 cents an hour.
People, 50 cents an hour, not $15. 50 cents.
50 cents an hour.
Wow.
But that job only lasted a few days because...
Yeah, but what was the year you said you were 15?
I was 15.
So it was like what, 90? It was after the war.
Well, it was after the war, so it was about 1947.
47.
And
wow.
Was
it a good wage or was it a minimum wage?
Oh, it was minimum. It was always minimum wage.
Now it is 15.50.
And I don't think they even paid me now that I think about it. They just fired. They saw very quickly.
Who was it? Pardon? You gotta go there and demand the 50 cents.
No.
Because right now it will be like $300.
I didn't work a whole week there. They quickly saw that
you were lying.
That I didn't have experience.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do.
Okay, what led you to go there, get a job, lie to them?
I thought it would be fun, and I needed a job. But it didn't work out very well. That was the summer, luckily, that my uncle needed somebody down at Newport Beach. So,
but you said he didn't pay you, though.
No, they didn't pay me. But I lived with them, and
so you had food.
I had room and board, and my mother was always glad to get rid of one kid. My parents had kids. My older sister.
Did she work as well?
All of us worked, but my older sister had this lovely job at McFadden's store in Upland, and because of that, she didn't have to go out and scrape around for a job. She always had that job, and she stayed there till she went to nursing school.
Wow!
So she had a good job. My older sister was always smarter than I was.
So you went to college, right? And This is where it gets very interesting, because when you were 13, you met Fred, your boyfriend.
When Fred and I started high school together, the way I met Fred was when I was 13 years old, and Fred was 13.
1 second. For all the listeners and audience on YouTube, Fred is the boyfriend now, and they met when you were how old? 13?
We were each 13 years old.
13 years old.
The two youngest in our high school.
Yes, so the dots connect. You will see, guys, the dots connect. This is such a beautiful, amazing story. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love it. So you met Fred when you were 13. You started high school together.
Right. He sat across from me in English class on my very first day of high school, age 13.
Hi, Fred, by the way. Hi, Fred.
Fred was 13.
Yeah.
We were in the same English class, and that's how I met Fred. But Fred, all through our high school, was always part of my life, because as we got a little older and we developed the little crowds in high school.
Yeah.
Fred was part of the crowd.
Yeah.
And so we went to parties together. Never romantic at all. Just went to parties together.
But you said one time he invited you for a date, right?
He took me out when we were seniors. There was
What senior, like 16?
17, I
17.
think. When we were seniors, there was a high school dance that Fred needed a date for, and I needed a date.
Yeah.
So Fred and I dated for that one. That was the only time we ever had a formal date. Other than that, it was always parties. We danced together. We played together. We went out to the beach together. We did everything with this little group. And Fred was always part of the group.
You were dancing, but it was like
it was high school.
silly high school dance.
Right.
It wasn't like serious taking lessons or something.
Oh, no, nothing like that.
Got it.
Fred still dances.
So it was like what, the 40s, 50s?
Yeah, well, we graduated in 1949 from high school.
So it was the 40s.
And Fred was the valedictorian of our class. There were 500 in our high school class, and Fred was the voted valedictorian.
Yeah.
And Fred was always the smartest one in the class.
Yeah.
He always was a straight A student. And we partied together. Then that summer we did a lot of things together.
Yeah. But never romantic.
No, there was no romance.
For some reason, it didn't click, yeah?
There was no romance. Fred didn't love me, and I didn't love him, but we were good friends.
Got it.
And we always did things together as a group.
Yeah. So you graduated, and then you went, said you went to a nursing school,
well,
right?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Oh.
Excuse
me, ma'am.
No, I spent 1 year. I spent 1 year at college, and Fred was part of that. There was a community college right after our high school, and we all transferred there for our first or second year of college, and I was part of that. I went to 1 year of college at Chaffee College was the name of it.
Chaffee,
and
does it still work?
It's still there. There. I taught there for 30 some years.
We come to that.
Yeah.
She was teaching as well in the same college.
But then after 1 year, I'd planned to go to nursing school, so I did all the requirements for nursing. And at the end of that year, we did 2 semesters. At the end of those 2 semesters, I was ready to go to nursing school, applied, and was accepted at Queen of Angels School of Nursing in Los Angeles, California. And
we have an interesting story there to tell.
What interesting story?
When you took the pills to party to go to.
Yeah, wait, I'll get to that.
Yeah.
The first thing you learn.
It's so awesome, people.
The first thing you learn in nursing school, and it was very exciting going to nursing school, was you live there, first of all.
Yeah.
For 3 years,
So it was, wait. It was Los Angeles. It was Santa Monica, you said, no?
Well, Santa Monica was after I graduated.
After you graduate.
Right.
Okay, got it.
For 3 years, I lived in Los Angeles, California, and I went to nursing school
Where in LA?
there.
Where in LA?
It was right by. I saw a sign today that said Echo Park.
Echo
It was
Park.
right by Echo Park.
Gotcha.
Up on the hill.
Yeah, we closed.
The
Echo Park,
hospital
yeah.
is a very big, beautiful hospital, and it was a fun.
Oh, so you were in the school, but you needed to learn.
Nursing students lived right at the hospital.
Wow. Okay.
That was
got
the
it.
old days. This was
Gotcha.
the old-fashioned
Yeah.
way to do nursing.
Yeah.
So you lived there. They gave you your uniforms. They did your laundry, and you basically
You
worked.
ate there. You slept
Yeah,
there.
we
You
ate there,
worked
we
there.
slept there, we
Basically, yeah.
We
So
socialized there.
it's like a cheap working force,
Nursing school.
and
That's right.
you learn as you
Exactly.
work.
You learn
Yeah,
while
by
you
doing.
while
You
you-
learn by doing.
and it was a good school. That was it was considered top notch for the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
but and I did okay there. I was kind of a party girl. I was not.
She's not kind of a party girl.
She
is a party girl.
I was
for
not-
sure.
I was not the best student. My sister who was a year older than I, was
She was at the same school.
at the same school a year ahead of me.
yeah.
And when I got to the place where I lived, where she had lived, the lady said, "You're not like your sister at all. She was a good student. You're out partying all the time." So I got caught
You got caught partying.
partying. But I did it. I did what I had to do, and I passed all the tests. And at the end of it, I graduated. I didn't graduate with honors, but I graduated. And then
That's important.
we had to take state board exams, and I discovered when it was time for state boards that I didn't know shit.
What's the state board?
Well, you have to have a board. You have to be a member of the state board to be a registered nurse, and you have to take an exam. This turned out to be a 3-day exam.
Oh, okay.
You sat for 3 days taking exams.
Written exams.
Right. This was the old days, and we took 3 days of exams.
So you said you didn't know shit.
And I discovered when I finished school that I really hadn't paid much attention. So I had
Because you were what?
because I was playing mostly.
Partying and playing.
And Daniel brought up something that reminded me. One of the things that we did in nursing school, we had to work nights as we were senior nurses, and it was hard to work nights when you wanted to go to the beach all day. So the doctors invited us. This was, mind you, the old days. Invited
The
us
doctors,
to their.
pay attention. Listen.
They invited us to their medical conferences, and this was at a big hotel right down Los Angeles. And we would go down there.
What is it called?
We have a beautiful
We have a
thing
we
there.
have a competition.
The
there.
ambassador.
The Royal
we
Royal
have
Ball.
Royal Ball is there
hello,
now.
people from Royal Ball. Millennium? Is it Millennium?
No, that's
No,
not.
the old.
It's not the Ambassador Hotel. It's
oh gosh, it's a big hotel.
it's a big, beautiful, and it's still there. And but we used to go to medical conferences.
We'll figure out the hotel.
We used to go to medical conferences there, and the doctors would invite the nurses.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this was the old days, mind you.
Yeah.
They had all these free samples, and one of the samples was amphetamine. So we ambitious students would borrow the amphetamine samples.
They borrowed it.
And take them home.
So what do you mean? You borrowed it and never returned it?
Of course.
Of course, yeah.
We-
Because you're taking it.
Because we needed it to stay awake at night so we could go to the beach the next day.
And have fun.
Yeah, so we would...
So, okay, question, just a side note. How long was your streak or a period where you didn't sleep? Like, what was your record?
Just about a month we did that. We had a month of night duty, and we would have
So for 1 month you didn't sleep at all, or just a little bit?
we would sleep. We would take naps and that. But
on
we
the
had,
beach?
and we would have nights off, so we didn't have to work every single night.
Oh, got it.
But the nights that we had to work, and then when we wanted to go to the beach the next day, we would take our amphetamine samples, so we would stay awake all night.
They were sampling the shit, the amphetamine.
Well, we had to stay awake so we could take care of patients. And
of course.
And we were in charge, mind you. God help the patients.
Oh, my God. How old are you at that point? Like
I
18,
was
19, 20?
20 years old.
20 years old.
And
Was it so this is still the Los Angeles?
yes, I was still in Los Angeles, still a student nurse.
Because you have the similar story in Santa Monica.
Oh, Santa Monica, that I was already graduated and working.
Oh, you were working
Yeah.
and still
I was
doing the amphetamines? Or
no,
was
I
it a
didn't,
different shit?
No, I didn't work nights. I worked days. I took care. That's another story. We'll get there.
That's another story.
Anyway, the amphetamines kept us awake at night so we could do a good job.
Was it okay? So how did it impact you? Like it just kept you
just
awake?
kept me wide awake all night, and then.
Are you sure that you didn't like act out and shit?
No, we didn't have. You didn't have. When you were working as a nurse,
Yeah.
and this is still true to this day. When you're working nights, you work your very butt off, and you never sit down. So
you're running back and forth,
in and
taking
out.
care of people.
Yeah. And I could do a good job, and you know we have to do charting and that. And then
Would you consider yourself as a wild child at that time?
Well, I like to have a good time. I still like to have a good time.
Okay, listen, in 2023 right now, right? When you say I like to have a good time, you are fucking around like big time. You just go to parties, you catch guys and you sleep with them and go
I
on.
never slept with a guy.
So
we were virgins.
yes, so you need to really define what you mean with have a good time. Because have a good time today means you fucking around and you like.
No, I was a virgin when I was married, so.
Got it. Just to, it was.
No, there was no sleeping around.
Not sleeping around.
We love the boys, but,
yeah.
But the boys.
Okay, so the boy, what was the furthest you went with the boy when you were like kind of flirting and dancing?
Oh, we did some hugging and kissing and
hugging and kissing, right?
Nothing.
And booty grabbing and nothing.
No, we didn't do that. No, nobody.
Well, not you, but.
No, no boy touched my butt. Nobody touched my boobs. No, I was a good girl.
So it was just the waist and that's it, and little kissing and that's it.
Yeah, that was it.
And you said, what was the hotel name? Millennium, no?
No, that's not right.
Royal. Oh, wait.
It wasn't. It's. I keep thinking the Ambassador, but that's not right.
No, I'll find it.
Yeah.
Very quick.
Anyway.
Okay, but you told me that you were at a party at the same hotel, right? And that some doctors came and they were
the doctors were always looking for young girls, for young nurses.
And you said your friend or some lady was knocked up because of that?
Oh, Fred.
I'm not Fred. She always calls me different names.
Daniel, that's later. That's later.
That's later?
You're
not yet.
Ahead.
Not yet.
No, we were just, we would the girls would go to the beach after.
Yeah.
After we worked all night.
Got it.
And, we just lay on the beach and have a good time, swam. We loved to swim. I was always a good swimmer. So I spent half my life in the water back then.
Really?
Yes. My ambition as I grew up was to swim like Esther Williams. So I worked very hard. Esther Williams, you probably don't even know her. She was
Biltmore Hotel.
Biltmore, yes.
Biltmore Hotel.
Yes.
I found it.
That's right.
Biltmore Hotel, where the Royal Bowl is held in March.
Yes.
Are we still doing the Royal Bowl?
Of
you
course.
like the competition, right?
Yes,
we're going there.
I like there for sentimental reasons.
Sentimental reasons, right? Doctors knocking on your door.
Right. No, I wasn't a good-looking kid, so I got a few dates, but nothing big.
So you weren't good-looking?
I didn't. I was just ordinary looking.
Ordinary looking lady.
And I was not sought after that much.
Got it. So you were kind of safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was good enough to have a good time, but
gotcha.
Nothing special. At any rate, where was I?
I have no clue.
I graduated from nursing school finally, and I had to spend. Luckily I had about 8 weeks before we had to take. They call it a state board examination.
Yes, state board. Yeah.
You can't work as a registered nurse until you've passed your state board exam.
Wait, so and you understood you have
and so
no
I
idea.
decided I didn't know shit. So I went home to my mom's house, and I spent every day 8 hours a day studying so that I could pass the state board exam.
Got it.
Which I did, and I did pass, thank God. And
Thank God.
my friend Ida Flynn and I got an apartment.
Ida Flynn?
Ida was her first name, ITA, Ida Flynn.
Ida Flynn. Hello, Ida Flynn. Is she still alive?
I've lost track of her. I don't know.
So, Ida, if you ever listen to this podcast, for some magical reason you find it, Lillian sends hugs and kisses and everything.
She probably died. She's, hardly anybody lives as long as I do. Anyway, Ida Flynn and I got an apartment in Santa Monica, and she got a job at a hospital, Sawtell actually, and I got a job at St. John's in Santa Monica.
Oh, it was Ida that got knocked up.
Well, I never was sure of that. That was a surmise.
Okay.
But I worked in a psychiatric unit at St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica.
Guys, that's very interesting.
And I enjoyed...
So, okay, was it your like direction you wanted to take, or it happened to be a job?
It happened to be a job, but it happened to be a job because I was always interested in psychiatric nursing.
Okay.
And the psychiatric hospital job was open, and they offered it to me, and I took it.
But
and
why you were interested in that?
Yeah. And
why you were interested?
I just like psych. I did well in psych, and I got good grades in psych.
Psych. It's a
psych means psychiatric nursing to me.
Psych. Okay.
At any rate, I worked as a psych nurse at St. John's Hospital for 1 year.
Yeah.
And during that time, I lived with Ida Flynn. She was working at another hospital, and she got involved with a doctor. And Ida didn't come home very often. And
so you basically lived alone.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that was not a very good year in a lot of instances. Anyway, Ida, I think, got herself in trouble, and all of a sudden she had to leave town. And it was fortunate for me because I was finishing my year, and I was just working for 1 year to save money so I could move back east. I wanted to see what the East Coast was like. And
what do you mean East Coast was like?
East Coast, I lived in Washington, went to Washington,
You
D.C.
wanted to go to Washington, D.C.?
Right.
Why?
I just my idea was to travel.
Okay, why not New York?
Because I had two friends actually in Washington, and that sounded more interesting.
Friends from where?
Friends from high school, college, and so
who?
Her name, my friend's name that I went to live with was Teresa Laponis, and she worked for the CIA.
Wow.
And she had another roommate, so three of us lived together.
Yeah.
And they worked for the CIA.
So you decided to go to D.C. because of your friends, because you wanted to check out East Coast.
Right. And it was...
That's very crucial information because...
And I wrote to Georgetown University Hospital and said I'd like to come work there. And back in those days... Not
studying, but working.
No, working. So I worked as an RN there. I was an RN.
RN. And, what's RN?
And they registered nurse.
Oh, got it.
So they wrote back, said, yes, please come. We have a place for you.
Nice.
And the year was up, and Ida was in trouble and wanted to leave town. So we closed up our apartment, paid our bills, and went our separate ways. Wow. And I never heard from Ida again. I never knew what happened to her.
Wow.
And to this day, I don't know what happened. But I would like to know, but I don't know.
Ida, if you listening to this, just write a comment on YouTube. If you
she was a little older than I, so she probably is gone now.
Yeah.
At any rate, moved then. I went by train because I always wanted to take a train across country.
How long did it take you?
2.5 days.
What? Like non-stop in train, 2.5 days?
Well, I had to stop and change trains in Chicago.
Okay.
So I took a train from Pomona, California to Chicago, and then from Chicago to Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And
but the flights were there still. I mean, they were,
planes. It wasn't, planes were just starting to be a way of transportation.
And it was
this
probably
is a long
expensive,
time
huh?
ago. And
I'm so sorry. I
always
always view you as a teenager, so you're not that old in my eyes.
I was 21 years old.
21. So it was the year, 21, 32, 53.
Right, 1950. 1953.
1953.
Right.
Wow.
And I moved to Washington, D.C.,
Yeah.
had my job at Georgetown, and I went to work there, had a wonderful time. I loved living in Washington.
Why?
I had boyfriends galore. The guys...
Whoa, boyfriend. Okay, when she says boyfriends, they just holding hands and kissing. No.
And there was no going to bed.
No going to bed. No
I
sex.
think the boys... Here's what I thought.
Yeah.
Now, looking back, I think the boys all thought, oh, here's this real fast babe from California.
Yeah.
And what does she do? Because I didn't realize that I was sort of a pioneer. Girls didn't just go off and live places back then.
Yeah.
But I did. And I think they thought she must be really fast and so,
adventurous and everything, and exploring.
A freewheeler.
Yeah.
But the boys were always disappointed because I never went to bed with one of them, not even Joe.
And Joe, we're coming to the key moment. Joe
came into my life after I'd been in Washington about 6 or 8 months, and
Joe was her husband.
A very
this is amazing.
Very cute medical student. Another one who wanted to date. The guys all wanted to date me. I think they all went home disappointed.
Yeah.
But too bad about them.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joe wanted to date me, so we started dating, and he liked me. And after 1 month, he said, "I love you. I want to marry you." I thought, what, are you crazy or what?
Because he wanted to go to bed with you, and he knew you Catholic girl, and without marriage there is no bed,
right.
and all
That's
this stuff, right?
So he was so disappointed that he agreed to marry me. So
he was disappointed?
Well, I guess he was. He never said he was, but
because you disagreed. You didn't say yes.
Well, it just didn't. He knew I wouldn't go to bed with him.
No. Why he was disappointed? Because you said no.
Oh, well, he said he wanted to marry me. I said, "You're crazy. You don't even know me. How can you marry me?"
Yeah. Got it.
And so we dated for a few months.
He was very. You said to me he was very. He was pursuing you a lot.
Yes.
And consistently, and he was
right.
like, yeah.
And I had other guys I was interested in.
Yeah.
He was not the only man in my life, but he never let go. And so finally I said, oh, okay. I want to go home to California for a couple months before I get married.
Yeah.
So he graduated from medical school, and then he had to go on to his internship in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And so I went to Pennsylvania and met his mother and his sisters and so forth.
After you went to California or
no, before I went to California.
Yeah. So you were okay. So you said yes.
Right.
But still no sexual interaction.
Oh,
nothing.
No.
You were like, no?
No, I was going to be a virgin till I got married.
Wow.
And I was.
Dedication.
Stupid. Anyway.
Whoa. Why stupid?
Well, it was the way it was back then. Things were different.
I know.
They didn't have the pill, and they didn't have the things.
The condoms?
I guess they did have condoms, but I never saw a condom because I just didn't see it.
Yeah, you didn't.
There was I was a virgin.
So with Joe, but you went a little bit further with Joe, right? With like touching the booty.
We did. We had some fun. Yes.
Yeah, you had some fun,
but
no interaction.
No interaction.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
I swear I was a virgin when I got married.
Respect. Respect, sister. No, that's no, but it's really very interesting because
times are so
times
different.
are different. Yeah,
Times
yeah,
are so different now. And
okay, so you went to Pennsylvania. You met the mother and father.
I'm
Joe's mother.
well. It wasn't his father; it was his stepfather. 'Cause
Gotcha.
Joe's father died when in a coal mine. He was killed in a coal mine when Joe was 2 years old.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Joe never really knew his father.
You said that, yeah.
The stepfather was also a coal miner. This is the coal fields of Pennsylvania. Very interesting country. It's hard to believe that a place like that exists in the United States.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I couldn't believe it because I was a girl from California and things were so different.
And you were so fancy and everything is for free and you get everything
And
easy
Joe's mother checked me over and didn't like me. And
she was Italian.
She was an old
Let's note.
Italian woman.
And she said to Joe, Joseph,
she doesn't have boobs.
Exactly. I know this story. Oh my God.
Or she didn't have breasts.
She doesn't have
boobs.
breasts.
And
Joseph. And Joseph didn't care because he liked your booty, right?
Anyway, thinking back on it, it's so funny. But I didn't like Joe's mother much, but I loved his sisters. He had 3 sisters.
Yep.
And I loved them. And I wish they're all gone, and I wish they were still here.
Yeah.
Because I got along beautifully with them, and we had a good time
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you went to Pennsylvania, met his parents,
right? And then I went
and
home.
then went home.
I went home to California for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And I worked as a nurse at a local hospital, and lost 10 pounds and worked my butt off, but it was a good experience for me. And then I went back, and Joe and I got married with no...
went back to what? Pennsylvania?
To Pennsylvania, to Uniontown, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Where Joe was an intern.
Got it.
And he had arranged for this priest to marry us. And we had nobody there. The priest even got 2 witnesses because I didn't want anybody there. And so
why not?
I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want a fancy wedding. I didn't want anything like that.
You just wanted to go to bed with Joe and have a official situation.
A situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we had our quiet little wedding in this church, and
then it happened.
And then we drove to Erie, Pennsylvania, and spent our wedding night. And then we decided we had a week off.
Niagara Falls.
And we drove all around New England and such. We almost got divorced on our honeymoon because
Niagara Falls, right? You said on Niagara Falls as well.
Fred. Joe wouldn't stop. He wanted to drive everywhere. Yeah. And I said, Joe, we got to the Adirondack Mountains and to a place called Lake Placid, which I thought was, and still think is, one of the most beautiful places in the United States. And I wanted to stay there for an overnight at least. Joe said, no, we've got to hurry. We've got to hurry on. We've got to get to Massachusetts.
Other places, yeah.
So I was always mad about that, and I was ready to dump him after that. I thought, what kind of a honeymoon is this? We have to just drive. Anyway, we did. And the week was over.
But Joe was like that, right? He wanted to
he had things he wanted to see.
And
had a week to see him, and we were going to do it, by God. So we did. And we got
divorced.
Almost got divorced.
From your side,
our first year of marriage was not a real sweet, easy marriage.
Why not?
Because I wanted to do one thing and he wanted to do another, and we had different ideas.
Did you argue?
We argued. I left a couple of times.
You left the house?
Left the house in
Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, yeah. I was working as a nurse then.
Yeah.
And Joe was busy. He was working all the time, And so we didn't see that much of each other. And I was pregnant almost immediately.
Of course.
What else? No birth control. No nothing.
Yeah.
One of the big mistakes of my life, but too late
What?
now. Well, you should really spend a little time together before you get pregnant and all that.
Yeah.
But that was the way
But
it was.
look, it in the end it worked out though, right?
I have my wonderful son Marcus,
Yep.
who was born after we were married.
Which, if Marcus will listen, he will give you shit because you said it was a
Right.
mistake.
Well,
Marcus, you're not a mistake.
It wasn't a mistake. It was just too early.
Yeah, too
So
early,
we were
yeah.
married 9 months and 2 weeks when Marcus was born.
Yeah.
And Marcus, being the kind of person he is, he's an obsessive compulsive kid.
Yeah.
And he was due July the 1st, and by God, he was born July the 1st.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was like, I want to be born then.
He still is my wonderful son.
And Marcus is a pilot, right?
Marcus is an airline pilot. So
Very.
he's very compulsive, and it's a perfect job for him because everything has to be on the minute, and he was
Exactly.
on the minute, not the minute and a half, the minute.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's my sweetheart.
So how many kids do you have?
Three boys.
3 boys. Marcus.
Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
Luke.
Hi, Luke.
Luke was
And
born.
John.
And John. The only
Hi,
one.
John.
The only one we planned was John. Luke came again too early, shortly after Marcus. So I had 2 kids before I knew what day it was.
Yeah.
And but then John, we got smart after that, and John was born at our convenience.
Yeah.
So we had Joe finished his internship. We moved to Florida because he was going to do a residency in Florida,
Yeah.
and I worked.
Oh, you never told me you lived in Florida.
Yeah, we lived in Florida for 1 year. We hated Florida.
I'm learning some new
We hated
stuff
Florida. The cockroaches are big in Florida, and we had no money. I was working and Joe was working, and we had no money, and we lived in this crappy apartment with no air conditioning,
With
not
2
even
boys
a fan,
or
with,
3
no,
boys?
just Marcus.
Marcus only.
And Joe didn't like the residency that he started down there, so we decided that it was time to move to California.
Yeah.
And
So did he transfer his residency?
he transferred his residency.
Could he do it though?
Well, he found another residency.
So he started from the very beginning.
No, he had 1 year, 1 full year, and then a second year we moved to Bakersfield of all places.
Oh my gosh, Bakersfield
but
middle of nowhere,
Yeah,
into the fields.
but it was not a bad thing, and
So I guess Bakersfield has a hospital.
it had a general county hospital where Joe was the resident.
Yeah.
And I didn't work then because Luke was born shortly after we moved there.
Yeah.
And we lived there for a year.
Now, how did you change the places? You were driving with a truck?
Driving with a car, with an old beat up car.
Wow.
Joe's uncle.
With all your furniture and everything?
We didn't have any furniture.
So you left the
we never had furniture. We lived in furnished places.
Oh.
We had no money. We didn't have money for furniture. Our first year of marriage, we lived on the 3rd floor of an old house that had a furnished apartment upstairs.
Yeah.
And it was very nice. We had a nice time up there. It was
How much did you pay rent?
$100 a month.
Which was a lot.
It was a lot.
Time.
And then utilities were expensive because in
like what, $20?
No,
a month?
And it was another 100 because in Pennsylvania heating was expensive, so we spent $200 a month to live.
Yeah,
and then groceries and food, and that was it. Boy, we didn't buy anything fancy.
Wow.
Believe me. And Joe's uncle gave him a car.
Yeah,
so we had a car.
Yeah.
And
how much was gas? Like 35 cents?
I don't know if it was that much even. I don't even remember that.
Wow.
We didn't go many places, so that was not significant. I walked up the hill to work. I worked. Joe walked up the hill to work.
Yeah.
It was just a
Where did the baby
couple
stay
blocks.
when you worked?
We didn't have a baby.
At that time. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Right.
So once you got a baby, you stopped working though, right?
Well, no, yes and no. After we had the baby, Joe went down to Florida. He got this residency in Florida. And then after Marcus was born, after 1 month, I flew down to Florida. And then I got a job working nights. Joe was working
you
days.
Flew from Pennsylvania
from Pennsylvania to Florida.
to Florida.
And I
with
got
Marcus.
With Marcus. I got a job working nights. Joe got a job working days. And we would change keys. It was just a block from the hospital. So we would change keys in the middle of the night, in the middle of the morning. He'd give me the key to go home. And
so you had only one key?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Anyway,
that
went on for 1 year.
Yeah. So he didn't like the residency, so you came to California to Bakersfield.
Right. And
then Luke was born. Right? And then he finished his residency,
right.
and he focused on which direction in
OBGYN. Joe his major was obstetrics gynecology.
Got it.
And he was.
So he finished the residency, right?
Right.
And then
we moved down south here. And
to what? To Upland?
We lived in Fontana lived in Fontana for 5 or 6 years. Because John was born there.
Yeah.
And
okay.
But was close to the hospital.
Yeah. And then you
But I didn't work then. I just took care of babies.
But then you bought the house
and then
I knew.
We
right?
bought not our first house. After we lived in this, we lived in an 800 square foot house with 3 kids for, I think it was 7 years.
Wow.
And then we bought a house in Etowanda, which is part of Rancho, and lived there for 8 years. And then while we were there, we built this house where we...
so you built a house that I know. Got it. All right. So after, I don't want to dwell too long, because I'm sure you have a lot of stories about kids growing up and stuff. But I would like to know, so you told me after kids you were talking to Joe about going back to school.
Right. When John, my baby, went to school. I said,
it was
Joe,
6, 7?
Yeah, he was 5. He was
5, 6, 7.
I said, I want to...
and you were how old when,
I guess I was, John, about 34. I said, I want to go back and get my degree. Nursing had changed so much during those years. Yeah. And I said, I want to go back and get a college degree, because nurses needed a college degree then. Yeah. And go back to work. Joe said, okay. The only thing is, if you go back, you have to have straight A's. Otherwise, there's no point. I said, okay. So I did. I went back, started back to college first
from zero.
Because the nursing thing didn't count for anything. Yeah. I had to start all over again.
Wow.
So I had to do 4 years of college, and then I started back. I wanted to go back and do nursing, so I had to go back and learn how to be a nurse again. So I did that, and then
so you went to a day school or full school?
I went to Chaffey College for a couple of years, and then I went to Cal Poly Pomona and got my bachelor's degree. And I got A's, straight A's, by the way. I graduated with honors this time around.
My girl.
Because I studied for once. And
for once, no more partying, right? No more partying.
No more parties.
Yeah.
I worked very hard.
Yes.
And I as soon as I finished college, I was didn't know what to do with myself, so I went back and started learning nursing again.
What do you mean?
Well, nursing had changed so much in those years.
Yeah.
And so I had to go back and learn how to do all the stuff that I didn't know how to do, which I did.
Yeah.
And I got a job at teaching.
Was it just a general nursing, or you were already still focusing on the psych?
No, I wasn't focusing on psych then. I was doing bedside
Just
nursing.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
worked mostly at a hospital called St. Bernardine's Hospital in San Bernardino.
Yeah.
And I worked in the neurosurgical ward, and I thought that was amazing. And I really enjoyed it.
Why did you enjoy it?
Well, because you saw some of the most gruesome stuff. Because that was where the Cajon,
And you enjoyed the gruesome stuff?
well, the Cajon Pass, was a lot of the accidents would come in there, and up on the mountain and that, and so I didn't enjoy the gruesome, but it was very interesting nursing, and I liked it.
From the point of gotcha. Okay.
I was interested. I'm interested in medicine. I love medicine, and so I did that and took care of the kids in the house and that, and did that for a year or two. And then I got this job at Chaffee teaching nursing just as an associate, just as a part-time professor came up. And I thought, that sounds good because I could take care of the kids in the house and work part-time.
How did you get to it, to the teaching?
Well, I didn't know shit about teaching. And I just fell into it. And just the way you fell into dancing, teaching dancing, I fell into teaching nursing.
Yeah.
And it turned out I loved it, and I worked hard at it. And then I had to go back and get a master's degree to stay in the job, which I did. So I got a master's degree.
And all of this while taking care of kids.
While
right?
taking care of 3 kids and taking care of Joe and so forth. But the interesting thing that happened with this first master's degree, which was just at the University of
How
Florida.
old were you when you got your first master's degree?
40, 42.
40.
Anyway, when I was finishing my master's at University of Laverne, they said you can either do a thesis or you can do a project. Well, I was teaching these radiologic technology kids.
What?
They're not nurses, they're rad techs. They do x-rays and that.
Got it.
Anyway, they asked me if I would teach that class, and I said okay. So, but they're mostly young men, and they didn't like using nursing textbooks. And I was doing this master's, and they said do a project or a thesis. I thought, well, I'll do a project. I'll just write a book for these kids.
Wow.
So I wrote this textbook for the boys and girls that I was teaching. And lo and behold, when you're teaching, the book people come around and want to know, has anybody written a book? I said, I just wrote this book for the rad tech students.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see it. So I showed them the book, and they took it back to Philadelphia, and there was no book like that, and there was no professional interest.
Radiology book.
So they bought my book immediately.
How much did you get?
Oh, not much. I forget. It wasn't much money.
Like what? Like
I can't remember.
$2,000 or
no? I probably something like $4,000 or $5,000.
$4,000 or $5,000.
Anyway,
but you have the royalties still, right?
But then I wrote this book, which turned out to be a big seller because there were no other books like it.
Yeah.
And it's I was sort of an initiator of the profession, and that I'm sort of proud of radiologic technology.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really have a focus until this textbook. And then they had a focus, and they got real strict about rules and regulations and that. And now it's a very prominent profession.
And you still have your name in this book, right?
Oh, my book's still there, yeah. So I wrote every 5 years.
And you still have royalties there?
No.
It's just
after the 12th
mention.
edition, I
After
quit.
the 12th edition, you stopped getting royalties.
But my name will always be on the book as the first person.
As the first person.
Yeah. At any rate, and I'm in the College of Congress and so forth because of that. And I'm proud of that. That's my claim to fame.
Congratulations. So you are famous.
Well, not really, but that
She's famous.
But it's fun to go back and see, like I go back and the students know me still.
Yeah.
At any rate, I wrote the first textbook, and it sold like crazy because they needed it. All of a sudden, this is a blooming new profession, and they needed a textbook. So my textbook was the first one, and that is how that happened. But then every 5 years, if you write a textbook, it has to be renewed. And
because the technology
was growing like crazy. And they didn't even call it radiologic technology anymore. They called it imaging. And it's still imaging. It's not, there's so much to it now. And it got more and more complex as the years went on. So every 5 years I would write this book, and it killed me because it was
there's a funny story Lil told me about keeping her pages in the freezer.
Oh, in the freezer of my refrigerator, because there was no computer when I first started.
Yeah.
And I would just handwrite it, and then I would have a secretary rewrite it on a typewriter.
On a typewriter.
Right.
And why did you keep it in refrigerator?
So no one would steal it. Or if the house burned down, probably the refrigerator would be the last to burn.
Got it. So it was like your iCloud, so to say.
Yeah, right. That was the iCloud. Hard to believe. Hard to believe. But that's how it was.
Oh, my God. So this was your safekeeping documents.
Right. And
kids, learn. If you want to have a safe documents, put it in the refrigerator.
Put it in the freezer.
The freezer, not the refrigerator.
Not the refrigerator.
So it was the freezer.
The freezer.
Wow. So this was your iCloud.
That was my iCloud.
Freezer.
I didn't think about it, but yes.
That's so funny.
And I never went anywhere those years without a whole bunch of textbooks.
Yeah.
Because, they didn't have, it wasn't all on the internet back then. Yeah. And thinking about it now, my God.
It's all papers and all, you got to carry it and everything.
We would go off on vacation, and I would carry a bunch of textbooks with me so that I could keep writing.
Yeah.
Because I was working my butt off for 25,
and you were
30
writing
years.
by hand, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And many, many years I worked very hard.
So how old you were when you wrote the first textbook?
I was about 42.
42.
But then that wasn't the end of it. As I got more and more interested
Popular.
in this job at Chafee as a
you
professor.
Were interested in.
I decided that I was going to apply. The chairman that we had in our department, I didn't care about, so I decided I would apply for that job. And
so you had a chairman, but you didn't like him, or
her, yeah,
her.
So
okay. You applied for the job,
and it was an elected thing, and I got elected. So for 11 years, I was in charge of the nursing program, the radiology program, the dental program, and the nursing assistant program. So I was in charge of all the health programs.
Nursing per se, you didn't do a lot, right? Just in your beginning years,
right.
And then you went to teaching straight up, right?
And I was in charge of all the programs, and that was fun. I did that for 11 years. And then they changed the situation, and I didn't want to keep on with that, so I went back to teaching.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to become a...
Yeah, I know, because when we met 9 years ago, right? 9 years? Almost 10?
I was still working.
Years. You were still teaching. You were retired. I remember.
I was retired and teaching, yeah.
You were retired, but still going to teach because they needed somebody to teach.
To teach psychiatric nursing.
Yeah, psychiatric nursing.
I just did psych nursing then.
Yeah.
Anyway, so another little detail was that while I was doing all this working and writing, my program, which had gotten to be one of the best in the United States,
really,
we had to become a nationally accredited program.
Yeah.
But my degree, my master's degree, was not in nursing; it was in education. So I had to go back and get a second master's degree.
Yeah.
In in nursing.
Yeah.
So that was another little detail that I had to tend to. So I had to go back to Cal State Long Beach and get a degree in psychiatric nursing, master's psychiatric
How long was
nursing.
that? Like 3 years?
That was 3,000 clinical hours. 3,000 clinical hours means working with patients.
Yeah.
3,000 clinical hours plus all the classes.
Yeah.
So
and you told me about that.
I can't believe I did all that.
It wasn't
How did I
fun.
do all
Yeah,
that?
I know.
I worked my butt off, and I
Yeah.
didn't even think about it. I just did it.
Yeah.
So then I finished a second master's, and I had a nurse practitioner certificate, and I was a master in nursing as well as a master of education. So I had 2 master's degrees, and I kept working.
You incredible woman.
I don't know.
Let me just note.
How did I do all that?
Yeah, exactly.
And then, getting back to the subject at hand, my husband, we had seen this movie, Cinema Paradiso, an Italian movie.
Yeah.
And in that movie, this old fat guy, he was a poet from Chile, I think, South American country. I think it was Chile. Anyway, he had been abdicated to Italy, and he loved to do the tango.
Got it.
And that's a wonderful movie, by the way. And so in the movie, he and his mistress were doing the tango in Italy.
Yeah.
And Joe decided, well, if that fat old guy can do the tango, I want to learn how to do the tango.
Got it.
So
and this is how it all started.
This is how it all started.
But before we start with the dancing part, I just want to mention, because you always say how long you were married to Joe.
61 years and 1 month.
And 1 month. She always adds, because I was like, yeah, you were 61 years. And she goes, and 1 month, Daniel, and 1 month, right?
The 1 month that he was sick and he died.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he decided he wanted to learn the tango. And
Lila, wait a second. You just brush it away like nothing. But 61 years is a long time.
Yeah. And all this time, Joe's supporting me, letting me do anything I wanted to do. And I was working my butt off, and so was he. But, we still had a good time together.
Now, can you tell me about your dynamics? Because it's very interesting dynamics you had. Very interesting. He was a pain in the ass, you said, right?
He was a pain in the ass. And
Why?
Because he was a very moody Italian.
Moody Italian?
Yes. And all the girls loved him, so I knew I had to take good care of him because I didn't want him straying off.
What do you mean? Cooking or the sex thing or whatever?
Everything. Cooking,
everything.
Sex, everything.
Sex.
I wanted to still.
Everything.
I always felt like I owed a lot to him to be a good wife.
Yeah.
And all the things that entails. It entailed good housekeeping. Good taking care of the kids. Sex, everything. And we had a very lovely sex life. And I always told him, if you go with anybody but me, you're dead, Buster.
You dead? You said you cut his...
Well, it's either him or it's me or no one. I might...
Me? Oh my God.
There was something that happened.
There was an ultimatum.
Yeah. There was something on the news where this woman cut her husband's pee-pee off.
Pee-pee off, yeah.
And I said, see, that's a good thing.
Yeah, you can say dick. Dick off, yeah.
Maybe we'll do that instead of...
So when you cheat, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Chip, snip.
Me or no one.
Or no one.
But he was always...
But then you told me another story, right? Me or no one, right? You gave him an ultimatum. But then you said you went to some kind of party and you were flirting with a guy, and Joe was just sitting back on the chair smoking cigarette, and he was watching you, and you had a great time, and he was flirting with the guy. And then, So the rule was just for him, not for you?
What? Well, I don't know what you mean.
Well, you said me or no one, right? And on this party... the rule didn't work both ways. Exactly. So you could flirt, but he cannot.
Right. That's right.
That was your ultimate. This
Yeah.
is an American thing. Is it an American woman thing?
It's American Woman thing.
American woman.
But you
You know
know
the song "American Woman, Get Away from Me"?
I don't know that song.
I will play it for you later. Lillian, I just want to really, because you had this beautiful relationship with Joe, and you told me what I really liked, right? Because I met Joe a couple of times, right? And you said he was the man till the minute he died.
He was.
With big set of castañetas,
Right.
big balls, and he
yeah.
just,
You
he
know,
was like, you know what, bam, he pulled his thing out of his nose, and he's like, no, I don't want it,
yeah.
fuck off, right?
Right.
Like,
He was wonderful. I miss him so much. But
yeah.
I try not to think about it too much because it makes me sad.
I know.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why I started to play golf. Because at the time when Joe died, you were so sad, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm dancing with Lily. How can I, get her
And
on other thoughts?
You were so good to me at that time.
I was like, Lillian, you play golf. Let's play golf. I had no idea about golf at all. And then every week for 1 year, I remember we were playing golf, and we had wonderful time.
We did.
Yeah.
But, I remember one thing. When Joe died, I was sitting alone one night, shortly after, just a day or two after he died.
Yeah.
And you were down in Florida doing some dance thing.
Competition. Yeah.
And I get this call from Florida, and you somehow had heard that Joe died, and you
I
called.
did.
That made me so sad and happy.
Sad and happy at the same time. If you imagine, because my grandma lost a grandpa as well, right? After they were not 61 years, they were like 45 years or 50 years together, something like that, right? And I knew how hard it hit her, so I was like, oh shit, 61 years in 1 month, right? It was, and I was like, what can I do, to just get you over the pain, So I went and played golf with you, which was so much fun.
And that helped.
Much fun.
Everything helped.
But
fun. I'll never forget that phone call from Florida that you had
I
heard.
forgot all about it.
That was so sweet. And I thought that was so wonderful that you would think about me enough to call me from Florida to
well, of course.
tell me you were sorry. Anyway, that was a sad time. But I tried not to dwell on it because I didn't want to be one of those widows that sinks around not leaving their house. And
you were, how old were you when Joe died?
I was about 85, 80. Let's see, he was going on 9, so I was 85.
85 years old.
Yeah.
And I met you in 2013, end of 2013, I believe. It was, December, end of, maybe January 2014, something like that, right? So...
Anyway, it was a sad time.
You were 79, I believe. No, 81.
I was in my 80s. Yeah.
81, 81 or 82,
And I felt unfit for dancing, but I was happy to start dancing.
So, how did you start to dance? You said the movie.
Okay.
You saw the movie.
All right. Joe went to take tango lessons with his friend Berneva. She was his chief, but she and he took dancing lessons.
Yeah.
And he would
they took together dancing lessons
to learn how to tango.
Why not you?
Well, because I couldn't go with him to take lessons because I was too busy.
Busy what?
Busy writing my textbook.
So it was at that time.
It was was one of the editions of my textbook, probably
Gotcha.
4th edition.
Oh yeah, right. Because every 5 years you gotta right.
And
okay, so he went to the lessons, and then
he would come home. This was on Thursday nights. He would come home from his lesson, and then it was 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
We would go out to the patio, and he would teach me what he learned.
Gotcha. When the kids were sleeping.
The kids were asleep.
Yeah.
Yes.
How old were you at that time?
Probably in my late 60s, early 70s.
Early 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
And
So how did it work out? Did you learn something from Joe, or?
well, yeah, but enough to be interested, because I was always interested in dancing.
Yeah.
But Joe was never interested in dancing until he saw this Cinema
movie.
Paradiso,
Yeah.
and he decided he wanted to do a tango like that old
Gotcha.
poet.
Yeah.
And so then he got more. There was a place in San Bernardino that had Friday night or Saturday night dances. I can't remember which.
Yeah.
And so he would say, well, let's go. So, okay, on Saturday night or whichever night it was, we would go out and do dancing, so
Got
to
it.
speak. This poor, pathetic dancers that we were.
Oh, stop it.
But then we decided we should have some lessons in other types of dancing besides tango.
Yeah.
And there was a class, a public class. Debbie Kozlovic was her name, was teaching. And so on a Wednesday or a Thursday, one night a week, we would go and take these lessons to learn how to do how to do foxtrot and waltz,
all the other dances.
just the very basic steps for dancing.
To just
Right.
be ready for social dancing
It was
and
just
so on.
social.
Yeah.
And we met some nice people doing that. And Joe was just getting ready to retire, and his people, our dear friends, were starting to either move away or pass away.
Yeah.
And we met some new people.
Yeah.
And little by little, we got involved with this little social club. Eva and Gilbert. What was their last name? Chinese people, and one thing another. It didn't matter. At any rate, we ended up with a little social circle, and it turned out to be a
dance social circle.
Social circle. And we would, every Friday or Saturday night, we would meet with these people, and we would dance a bit, in our poor, pathetic way, and have a good time.
Yeah.
And we really liked it. And it really increased our interest in sociability and in dancing.
Yeah.
And I could see that I would like to be able to dance better than I was. Joe sort of was, he wasn't a good
He was
dancer.
okay with that.
Yeah.
Just the social part. And
right. And he was not a good dancer, never would have been, I guess. But unless he'd have gotten really, really hard at it, but he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I said, Joe, I want to take some lessons, some private lessons, just so I can get to be a better dancer.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't happy with that, but he said, okay. So I found this.
So you wanted
instructor.
lessons on your own,
Right.
or with him?
On
You
my-
can move it. You
on-
can move
on-
the mic. You can move the mic.
on my own.
Cheers, by the
Just-
way. Oh, I'm such a bad host. Cheers.
Just a couple little private lessons.
Yeah.
So I could get to be a better dancer.
Mm-hmm.
So I found this instructor, and I took a few little private lessons.
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another.
Where was it? Like Upland or
It was in Ontario.
Ontario? Okay.
And one thing led to another, but we still went out every Friday or Saturday night with our friends.
Got it.
And did our
But
little dancing.
you were getting better at dancing.
I was trying to get better.
You were trying to get
I don't
better.
know if I ever got better. but he would get mad at me then because I would try to do some things that he didn't want to do. And he got less and less interest. Plus his health was starting to fade.
Got it.
Joe was 5 years older than I. And he was starting to have lung problems and such.
Yeah.
So he danced less and I danced more.
Got it.
And one thing led to another. And that went on, and we had lovely social relationships with our friends.
Yeah.
And they were very nice to him at the end. They would help him to even ambulate sometimes because his lungs were so bad.
Got it.
And
This is where you met Bob and Carla?
yes, Bob,
Got it.
right. And Chuck
Hi,
and
Bob and Carla.
and Chuck and Sally.
And Chuck and Sally, how you
Yeah.
doing?
And they're still my friends. And we all stayed together. But Joe finally had a problem to a point where he danced very, very
Yeah.
little. And if it weren't for Chuck and Sally and Bob and Carla, I wouldn't have danced at all. But we still would go out with them on Friday nights to the Elks Club, and we would do our little
Elks
dances.
Club.
Yes.
Shout out to Elks Club. Is it
Oh.
still on? Is it still?
Yeah. Matter of fact, this New Year's Eve, I went with Bob and Carla and Chuck and Sally
Got
and
it.
Fred and I, and we went. At any rate, this went on, and I came home one night from, I've forgotten where, probably a dance lesson, and Joe was saying he was having bad stomach problems, and it got worse as the night went on, and I had to take him to the hospital. And Joe was 89 at the time.
Yeah.
And I took him, and I was sure he would get better, but he didn't get better this time. And after 2 or 3 weeks in the intensive care unit of the hospital, he died. And that was a very tragic thing for all of us. And that's when Daniel
Oh gosh.
so wonderfully called me from Florida to offer his grievances. And I didn't know how I was going to get along without Joe, but I decided I couldn't be a widow that sat and grieved about it and didn't do anything with my life. So I continued dancing, and dancing has literally saved my life.
In what matter?
It's kept me in shape. It's kept me interested in sociability. It's kept me from grieving to a point where I couldn't move.
Yeah.
And it's been wonderful. Dancing has saved me, and I think it's kept me young too, because now Joe's been gone for 5 years, and I've had a good 5 years. And I've done some traveling. I've done a lot of socializing.
Now this is an interesting point, right? Because the circle will be complete, right? Throughout your life, you said you were interacting with Fred and his wife, right? The friend that she had from the college, from the high school.
From age 13.
From age 13, right? And then you said that
Fred's wife died, and I read about it in the paper. Fred and I had always maintained a friendship.
Yeah,
we would once or twice a year have dinner together.
Dinner with the husband and wife, right.
I never lost track of him and his marriage. Fred had 2 marriages, but I never lost track of Fred. And I saw that Mary had died, and my friend Jeannie and I said, Jeannie, Fred's wife died, and the funeral is such and such a day. Let's go. So we went, and I said, at that funeral, I said, Fred, Joe died a week ago. And he didn't know that because I didn't put it in the paper.
Yeah.
And so after a month or so, I called Fred, and I said, Fred, why don't you come over and have dinner with me some night?
So you made a move.
We're both alone.
But you didn't think about anything. Just
I had no intention of
have a dinner and keep each other company.
I had no intention of becoming as intimate with Fred as I had, but it just sort of worked out.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another. Little by little, we got to be close friends.
Yeah.
And we still are, and we do a lot of things together. And thank God for Fred, because he's made my life without Joe
and
much
I'm very,
fuller.
very happy about that.
Yes,
I'm very happy about that, because you have somebody that you're spending time
It's not
with.
been anything like the marriage I had with my husband, or I'm sure it hasn't been the same for him either.
Can you tell the audience and the listeners how you referred to Fred after a certain period of time?
He's my friend with privileges.
With privileges, yes. It's not friends with benefits. It's friend with privileges. That's Lilian. You my hero. You my fucking hero. I'm telling you, guys. This is amazing. Like,
and
this is just when I'm looking at it and.
But
you still go like. You even have a boyfriend, if I can call it that, friend with privileges, let's say like that, right? After 61 years and 1 month of marriage, and you love Joe. I know you love Joe, and you always tell me, like, Joe was a moody Italian, right? And
Yes.
I remind you of Joe a little bit with my mood
Because
swings, or
well,
what? What
because
is it?
of your macho
Macho shit?
behavior. Yes.
I'm not macho. I'm
Yes,
such
you
a
are.
sensitive guy.
Oh, what a lot of crap that is. Oh,
Lillian, shut up, Lillian. This is what you mean, right?
Yeah.
My expressions.
right.
Right. No. But you said, I don't know. Probably that's why we have this intimate relationship, as you refer to it, because I remind you of Joe a little bit.
Yeah, I'm able to talk to you like I don't talk to anybody else, including Fred.
Yeah.
Fred's not interested in the.
He might hear it, so
Fred's
maybe
not interested in the sensitivity things that you and I
sensitivity.
talk
But
about.
you just said that I'm macho and I'm interested in sensitivity things. What do you mean?
Well, you dig. You have an ability to dig deeper,
Yeah.
and you make me say things that I wouldn't ever say to anyone else. And
It's a gift, Lillian. It's a gift. I cannot control it.
but we have a. You're more. I'm closer to you than I am to any of my sons.
That's really means a lot.
And I love my sons, but it's just not the same.
I was once to a natural healer, and she said that I'm very close with my grandma, and that my grandma is my partner in crime, and you the very same, like, you my partner in crime. When I go with you, like, out, and we go into the competition or whatever, and we go out, we drink, we go out, in Hawaii, for example, we sitting on the beach, smoking a cigar, having a conversation.
we
right?
have a blast.
It's awesome. And like, it's really a very, very good time when you're around.
And
Yeah.
I don't know anyone else I have a better time with than you.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And I adore Eugenia, and I'm so glad that you finally found somebody as good as she is.
Thank you.
Because
she's dealing with my macho shit.
Yeah, I don't know how she stands it, but
how do you stand it?
well, I can go home.
Oh,
She
got
can't
it,
go home.
Got it. Well, I'm different, in the home situation.
But she's a nice she's a not just a nice person, she's a lovely person.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God you found her. I was worried you'd marry some trollop somewhere along
What's
the
a
line.
trollop?
A trollop is a
Some bitch?
bimbo bitch.
Bimbo bitch.
And it could have been that way, the way some of the women you picked up
Yeah,
along the way.
almost.
But thank God
Thank God.
she was
Yeah.
she was a
Lillian,
perfect person for
tell
you.
the audience what you thought when you first time met me, because I was talking about my dance partner.
Do you want me to say it?
Say it.
I thought, Daniel was this young, skinny, cute-looking boy, and I thought,
Wait. Before you say that, you said that you checked me out and checked my booty out, right?
well, yeah, he was. I said you were a cute-looking guy.
Yeah.
But
well, this wasn't. It was off camera. We didn't tape yet.
Oh,
So
no.
you told me off camera.
Oh, okay.
So you need to tell it
I
to
thought
the audience.
I thought he was a cute-looking young guy, but I
Yeah.
thought when he sat down to talk to me, because apparently or somebody had said I would be his partner.
Yeah.
I thought,
The
he's
student.
cute, but he's gay, because when he
Yeah.
told me about his life, he said my partner.
Yeah.
And when
I said
usually when
dance
a guy
partner. Yeah.
when a guy says my partner, they mean their male
Their
friend.
male friend.
So I
yeah.
just assumed that Daniel
Got
was
it.
gay.
But after 5-minute conversation,
I found out he wasn't gay.
yeah, after 5 minutes, she understood.
I said,
there's no way.
This dance teacher is not gay.
Yeah.
So,
I was labeled a gay and then delabeled as a gay right after.
and Daniel's been my dance partner for how many years now, Daniel?
9.
9 years.
9 years.
And we have had the best times together.
Yep.
And I've learned a little bit about dancing.
a little bit. Lillian, I have a question. Like, what do you find the most rewarding about dancing? Like when you have lessons, when you have, because you told me many times, that dancing is, you said it saved your life, but
dancing is a therapy. Dancing is therapy for me. And
therapy in what? In terms of what?
In mental, physical, all aspects of living.
Yeah.
It's been a therapy for me.
Yeah.
Had it not been for dancing, when Joe died, I don't know how I'd have survived, because I went right back to dancing lessons.
Yeah.
And Daniel, you were so wonderful to me, and you helped me. And I'll never forget, well, I've already talked about this, the call from Florida.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Daniel knows and he's sorry. And then to go play golf.
Yeah.
And
6 a.m. Oh, I need to tell the story. Oh my God. Okay, audience. A funny story. My brother just came to California. My brother came to California, and I was like, you need to meet Lily. She's awesome. She's cool. She's, 87 at that time, something. We playing golf. We got to play golf. We going, like, let's do it.
Yeah,
so
right.
We came.
Don't forget the bottles of whiskey that went along.
Well, yeah, but before that, right? So we came in.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that part.
Okay, so we arrived at the parking lot of the golf place, right?
Oh, God.
I drove my
How
Audi, what was it? Some convertible Audi, right?
Your cute little car.
Yeah, my cute little car, convertible, right? And
I'm so excited.
Lily is not there yet, so she drives up to us, right?
And I was
she
all
sees
excited.
my brother.
Wait,
yeah.
let me say.
Yeah,
I was all excited to meet his brother.
Yeah, and she was waving to my brother while parking next to my car. But I just got out of the car and left the door open, and she rammed the door.
Oh.
Because she was winking to my brother.
I was so busy.
Hi, brother. Say hello to Michael.
I was trying to make a good impression.
Yeah, yeah, you did. 100%. Say hello to my brother in Switzerland.
Smash. There went
brother.
the car.
Lillian, say hello to Michael.
Whammo.
No. She's still on the door.
How awful.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
hi, Michael. Greetings to Switzerland for my brother.
But
cheers, brother.
How embarrassing.
Don't be embarrassing and cheer with me. Thank you. Oh my gosh, we have a great time with each other.
We go back a long way now. That I think
and
all the terrible.
yeah. So you screwed my door. No, that's a light way to say.
Cost me some bucks to pay that.
You fucked up my door for sure. Yeah, right. Doesn't happen with the truck anymore, for sure.
I'm afraid to even go near the truck.
Yeah. Anyway, so no, but what did we talk about?
We're talking
the golf.
Talking about golf,
and the story continues.
About that day.
Oh,
you and your brother playing golf, and I thought we were going to get kicked off the golf course.
Yes,
because you were both getting drunk in the morning.
Well, it was 6:30, and we were drinking not whiskey but cognac.
Whatever. I don't know what you were drinking. All I know is that you had this cute little girlfriend with you, and I said to her, "My God, we're going to get kicked off the golf course."
Yeah, she was riding on the car
because they're climbing all over the back of the cart.
I was climbing on the back. I was riding on the back of the cart, and it was awesome.
And drunk as a skunk.
No, it wasn't drunk. It was like 2 glasses. Come on.
Well, yeah,
I'm Eastern European. I don't get drunk easily.
It was not how people behave on a golf course. And this golf course, I was really afraid we were going to get kicked off.
Did you have fun?
I did.
Exactly. That's
thinking back on it.
That's the goal, right?
It was a blast, but
it was.
Oh my God, no one's ever acted like this on a golf course before.
It was.
Anyway.
Lillian, what is you said you're going to Africa, right?
Yes. August 17th or 18th, something
August
like
17th, 18th. And when are you coming back?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Got it. So September something.
All right.
Got it. All right. So before we finish our podcast, was it that bad?
No, it was fun.
It was fun. Of
I've
course
had a good time.
You see, so Lillian was so worried about the podcast and it won't be interesting and this and that. Let people decide what's interesting or not. I had a blast. It's interesting. I learned something new about you, right? And before we finish, I have 2 more questions, right? The first one is, you as an audience, what do you think makes a show amazing?
The people in the show.
The people in the show. What do you mean? Can you clarify?
Well, it depends on what the show's about. But there's nothing I'm more interested in than people and their lives. And I think this show that you're doing with people...
No, dance show.
Oh.
Dance show.
A dance show?
A dance show. What a dance show... what does a dance show make it? This is not English. One more time. The whiskey is speaking now. What does a dance show? I guess I can ask the question.
The beauty.
What does a show? What does a show make it great? What does make
the beauty of the movement?
You understand?
The beauty of the movement, the music. There's no. I think of as art form. Dancing is one of the most beautiful art forms ever, and it's always been
for the expression.
It's always been my favorite art form. And
so, what does a show make? What does it make it amazing, great for you personally?
The sensitivity of it, the beauty of it, the body movement of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get enough of beautiful dancing.
Yeah. Okay. What does a wedding dance show do for you? You had some interesting pointers, right? When we remember the conversation we had?
The sensitivity of the bride and groom to each other.
Yeah.
And
the interaction.
The way they can move together, the way they look at each other.
Yeah.
I think it's all very important. I've been to some weddings where the dance performance was pathetic. They would stand there and sway back and forth.
Yeah.
And I thought that was boring for the audience.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the bride and groom couldn't wait to get over this. Because they weren't that interested in the whole show. And I don't want my wonderful Max and his bride to have to go through.
Yeah. No, you were telling me also that when you were on the wedding that you noticed that the waitress whatever obstructed the view and so on. So little things and so on. We had this conversation because of my book. Right. Oh, by the way, the book, The Ultimate Wedding Dance. If you ever want to learn how to wedding dance, just pick out the book on Amazon and then you're good to go.
I'm giving my wonderful grandson, Max, and his bride a gift of wedding dance practice and choreography, thanks to Daniel, because I don't want them to have a wedding dance that is not sensitive and beautiful.
Exactly. That's the goal. Okay, my dear, last question. I don't know if it applies just to dancing, but I mean, you lived a long life, and I call her Cherepashka, which in Russian means
turtle.
A turtle, because she always looks down on her feet when she dances. And we don't want that as a dancer, right?
No, we don't.
But I call it Cherepashka or Baba Yaga. And she likes
like Mama
Baba
Yaga better.
Yeah. I mean, or Babushka.
Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga. Babushka, right? So, Lillian, what would you think you learned in dancing, which was the same or a life lesson for you for your everyday life?
To keep alive until I die, to keep my posture till I die, to keep interested in movement until I die.
Wow.
And I think dancing has done that for me, and I hope it continues to do so.
Lilian, I have so many things to ask you more, and I want people to know, but this is amazing. I had so much fun. We are at, what was it? Almost 2 hours. So,
And it's been a great 2 hours.
and it went like this, right?
I know. There's so much more to say, but
Yes, I know.
how can
I know.
you say it all?
I know. Maybe we will do when you 100 or maybe
Okay.
95.
How about 100?
Okay, 100.
95 is nothing.
No, okay, you heard it. 95 is nothing. When you
No
when
more
you,
parties till I'm 100.
okay, well, little parties.
Well, small parties,
Yeah.
but I mean parties like my
Big.
90th.
Yeah, I know. It was a big party. So, happy birthday again, right?
Thank
soon,
you.
Soon to be.
Thank you,
Cheers.
sweetheart. I love you.
And I love you too, my dear. And thank you for coming to the podcast because, I told you, I want to have you on the podcast. You were like, nah, I don't know, and this and that. But I want people to hear your story because it's really, you're an inspiration for us all, young
Right.
people. And
But-
you're still traveling, you're still driving, you're still on your own, it's just, I have no words to express that.
And I'm very lucky. And Daniel, you've been part of it. You've helped me live past 90.
Oh my gosh. There's a lot more. So I wanna get you to 100, have a big party, have another podcast with Lilian
Okay.
to see what's up in those 10 years.
All right.
Okay?
Sounds-
And the next competition we do is Nashville in Tennessee, and I'm looking forward to it. And we will have a blast as always, right?
Oh, of course. We always have a
Yes.
good time.
Yes,
I don't want to smoke your cigar, though. Daniel makes me smoke cigars sometimes.
I'm not making him smoke a cigar.
Yes, he does.
No, just for Instagram. Just for Instagram. All right, my dear. Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy birthday again.
Thank
and thank
you.
you for coming. And for all the audience. Oh, no. I'm so not educated. I need to zip when I chin, right?
Chin chin.
Mm.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. And for every listener and every person watching, thank you again. This was, is, and always will be a judgment-free zone where we express everything and anything. Thank you very much. I'm your host, Daniel the Gypsy, and have a nice day. Have a nice night wherever you are. Goodbye.
Goodbye.